Hi. In this tutorial, we will learn how to draw basic shapes in ToolShop. To start, let's draw a simple base plate, like the type you might use to mount a pole to concrete. Select the Drawing tab to access the native ToolShop drawing tools. I'm going to use the basic shapes to create the external square. For this tutorial, I'll select Rounded Rectangle. Clicking the icon here opens the Rounded Rectangle dialog. First, click New Shape to create a rounded rectangle on the screen. Don't worry about the dimensions yet. If you wish to get a better view, simply point the mouse at the center of the square and scroll your mouse wheel to zoom in or out. Next, click Matching Corners so all corners of the flange have the same radius. Now change the corner radius to 10 millimeters. This will round all corners of the rectangle to the same radius. The anchor point setting determines which corner of the rectangle aligns with the location referenced in the position boxes above. In this case, I'll align the bottom left corner of the rectangle to the origin of the sheet by leaving the coordinates at 0 for both x and y. I'm doing this to make it easier to position the bolt holes. Clicking Finish Shape will complete the process. Now I'm going to add a center drain hole with a diameter of 25 millimeters. I'll select the Circle/Ellipse tool. If the dialog box is still open, I can simply change the shape type to ellipse using the drop-down menu. Clicking New Shape adds the circle to the screen. If it already closed the Shape dialog box, I could select Ellipse again from the drawing toolbar. Select the Proportional checkbox to ensure we get a perfect circle rather than an oval. This time, I'll select the center node as the anchor point because I want the center of the circle to be 50 millimeters from the left and 50 millimeters from the bottom. Because I drew the square at the 0, 0 coordinate, it's easy to position the circle accurately. Once the parameters are correct, click Finish Shape. Next, I'm going to add a bolt hole in one corner. We'll make the circle 12 millimeters in diameter and position the center 15 millimeters in from the bottom and left sides using the x and y coordinates. Then click Finish Shape. Now I'm going to make copies of the hole for each corner. For this, I'll use the Rotate function. First, choose the Select tool from the toolbar. With the Select tool, you can either click the edge of the bolt hole or drag a selection box around it. Once the circle is selected, go to the Transform menu and choose Rotate. Now we'll create duplicates of the bolt hole at each 90-degree rotation. Enter the rotation point as 50 millimeters on the x-axis and 50 millimeters on the y-axis. This is the center point of our square. Then enter the rotation angle as 90 degrees. Clicking Apply to Duplicate will keep the original hole and create a copy at the desired rotation angle. Repeat this until all 4 holes are created. Then click Cancel to exit the Rotate function. Now we have our custom flange fully drawn. Finally, I'll use the Select tool to select the flange and move it away from the corner so it's easier to see. Once the flange is selected, you can drag it by the center node with the mouse. If I want to move the flange to a specific location, I can use the Move function on the Transform toolbar. This will apply to all selected objects. First, we choose the anchor point. In this case, I'm going to select the lower left corner of the flange. I'm going to leave the mode set as Absolute because I want to specify the position on the sheet. If I wanted to move it a certain distance from its previous location, then I would have selected the Offset mode. Finally, I will enter the coordinates for the position I want to move the anchor point to. In this case, I'll enter 20 millimeters for X and 20 millimeters for Y and click OK to finish.